Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Abhineet Shukla and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. US envoy meets Taliban officials in Kabul, calls for the inclusive government in Afghanistan. India essential in ensuring a free, open, inclusive and prosperous Indo-Pacific, says UK on Foreign Secretary's Liz Truss visit. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reaffirms India's commitment to the United Nations on the occasion of UN Day. Nepal government panel says China has put up wires and fencing in Nepalese territory. First training squadron of the Indian Navy on a 4-day visit to Sri Lanka as part of their overseas deployment. And at the T20 World Cup, India set a victory target of 152 for Pakistan group stage game at Dubai. As India has created history by vaccinating 100 crore people against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. The UN Secretary-General's Special Representative for Afghanistan, Deborah Lyons, on Saturday met Taliban leaders and discussed humanitarian aid, human rights and inclusive government. According to Tolo News, in the meetings with Deputy Prime Minister Abdul Salam Hanafi, Acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi and Acting Finance Minister Hidayatullah Badri, Lyons discussed the deepening economic and humanitarian crisis and human rights concerns. Ms. Lyons said, United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan or UNAMA will continue delivering life-saving aid. Ms. Lyons also stressed upon the need for inclusive governance and the protection of the rights of all Afghans, women and men. Meanwhile, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said that the UN will continue defending the rights of Afghan girls and women until they are back to school and return to their jobs. According to reports, Abdul Kahir Balkhi, a foreign ministry spokesman of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, said that the participants discussed humanitarian aid and the problems in Afghanistan's banking system. The 24th of October is observed as UN Day. The United Nations was created 76 years ago as a vehicle for hope for a world emerging from the shadow of catastrophic conflict. Ahead of the occasion, Secretary-General of the UN, Mr. Antonio Guterres, shared a message calling for the international community to unite to live up to the promise and potential of the UN.
We need to come together to tackle great challenges and advance the Sustainable Development Goals by ensuring that every person, everywhere, has access to COVID-19 vaccines sooner rather than later, by securing and upholding the rights and dignity of all people, especially the poorest and most disadvantaged girls and women and children and young people, by seeking an end to the conflicts that scar our world, by making bold climate commitments to save our planet and living up to them, and by building global governance that is more inclusive, networked and effective, as detailed in my recent report, Our Common Agenda.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the occasion of UN Day recalled Ms. Hansa Mehta and her indelible contribution to the UN Declaration of Human Rights.
1947-48 में जब यूएन ह्यूमन राइट्स का यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन तैयार हो रहा था तो उस डिक्लेरेशन में लिखा जा रहा था ऑल मैन आर क्रिएटेड इक्वल, लेकिन भारत के एक डेलीगेट ने इस पर आपत्ति जताई और फिर यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन में लिखा गया ऑल ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर क्रिएटेड इक्वल। ये बात जेंडर इक्वलिटी की भारत की सदियों पुरानी परंपरा के अनुरूप थी। श्रीमती हंसा मेहता वो डेलीगेट थी जिनकी वजह से ये संभव हो पाया। उसी दौरान एक अन्य डेलीगेट श्रीमती लक्ष्मी मेनन ने जेंडर इक्वलिटी के मुद्दे पर जोरदार तरीके से अपनी बात रखी थी। यही नहीं, 1953 में श्रीमती विजया लक्ष्मी पंडित यूएन जनरल असेंबली की पहली महिला प्रेसिडेंट भी बनी थी।
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Sunday reaffirmed India's commitment to UN on the occasion of UN Day. In his message, Dr. Jaishankar reiterated the importance of reformed multilateralism that reflects rebalancing, fairness and multipolarity. He said that as non-permanent member of UNSC, India will take a principled approach towards contemporary challenges. He added that India will always be a constructive force in enhancing UN's effectiveness and reliability. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said the success of the COVID vaccination program displays the capability of India. Addressing the nation in his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio, Mr. Modi said he had firm belief that the vaccination campaign will be successful since he is well acquainted with the capabilities of the nation and its people.
100 करोड़ वैक्सीन डोज के बाद आज देश नए उत्साह, नई ऊर्जा से आगे बढ़ रहा है। हमारे वैक्सीन कार्यक्रम की सफलता भारत के सामर्थ्य को दिखाती है, सबके प्रयास के मंत्र की शक्ति को दिखाती है। 100 करोड़ वैक्सीन डोज का आंकड़ा बहुत बड़ा जरूर है, लेकिन इससे लाखों छोटी छोटी प्रेरक और गर्व से भर देने वाली अनेक अनुभव, अनेक उदाहरण जुड़े हुए हैं। बहुत सारे लोग पत्र लिखकर मुझसे पूछ रहे हैं कि वैक्सीन की शुरुआत के साथ ही कैसे मुझे ये विश्वास हो गया था कि इस अभियान को इतनी बड़ी सफलता मिलेगी। मुझे ये दृढ़ विश्वास इसलिए था क्योंकि मैं अपने देश के लोगों की क्षमताओं से भली भांति परिचित हूँ।
The Prime Minister lauded the health workers for establishing new benchmark in service to humanity through innovation and sheer determination. Quoting Sardar Patel, Mr. Modi said, "People can take this country to loftier heights only through united efforts." He said there is a lot to learn from the life and thoughts of Sardar Patel. Mr. Modi urged everyone to read a recently published pictorial biography of Sardar Patel brought out by Information and Broadcasting Ministry.
President of Turkey, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, on Saturday said that he had ordered 10 ambassadors from Western nations to be declared persona non grata. The designation, the literal meaning of which is an unwelcome person, is a diplomatic term used to remove foreign diplomats and their protection by diplomatic immunity. This is in response for their calls for the release of Mr. Osman Kavala. 7 of the 10 countries represent governments from Turkey's NATO allies. Mr. Kavala has been in jail in Turkey for 4 years without being convicted. The European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, has called for his release on several occasions. According to reports, he was imprisoned in late 2017, charged with financing the Gezi Park protests in 2013 and taking part in a failed coup in 2016. Mr. Kavala denies both charges. China has put up fences and wires in Nepal's territory in Humla district. A report by a study panel formed by the Nepalese Ministry of Home Affairs led by Joint Secretary Jai Narayan Acharya submitted its report after conducting an on-field study to Home Minister Balkrishna Khand in the last week of September. According to reports quoting from the publications, the panel has made several recommendations identifying the problems along the China-Nepal border in Humla from border pillar numbers 4 to 13. The report also notes that since the 1963 boundary protocol, the territory belongs to Nepal. The panel report also said that the Chinese side has also been obstructing Nepalese citizens from grazing their cattle in the areas concerned. According to local reports, Foreign Minister Narayan Khadka and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on Tuesday touched upon the boundary issue between the two countries during a telephonic conversation. The report also noted that as per a survey by Nepal's Ministry of Agriculture, China illegally encroached on several bordering districts including Gorkha, Dolakha, Humla, Darchula, Sindhupal Chowk, Rasuva and Sankhu Sabha.
Sri Lanka has banned a Chinese fertilizer company after its port authorities found harmful bacteria in the sample tested. According to reports, the National Plant Quarantine Services, or NPQS, had tested a sample from the Chinese vessel and confirmed the presence of organisms, including certain types of harmful bacteria. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's office in a statement said that the NPQS had confirmed finding of harmful bacteria. Sri Lanka Ports Authority said that the Agricultural Ministry had ordered on Saturday to prevent the unloading of the fertilizer in any port and to turn away the Chinese vessel. The development comes amidst reports of widespread farmer protests in Sri Lanka against the abandoning of agrochemicals. Sri Lanka continues to import potassium chloride and nitrogen-based nutrients from India. UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss concluded her 3-day visit to India on Saturday. Ms. Truss visited HMS Queen Elizabeth in Mumbai on Saturday. In a statement, the UK government said that the ship is the spearhead of the Carrier Strike Group, or CSG, whose visit to Mumbai is a clear sign of the growing defence and maritime cooperation between Britain and India. The visit takes forward joint work agreed by the Prime Minister and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the landmark 2030 Roadmap on Maritime Security, Cyber Security and Counter-Terrorism signed earlier this year. The statement added that the security and defence relationship with India is a key part of the UK's Indo-Pacific tilt. UK Foreign Secretary also sees India as essential in ensuring a free, open, inclusive and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
Naval vessels of the Kochi-based 1st Training Squadron on Sunday reached Sri Lanka as part of their overseas deployment for the 100th and 101st Integrated Officers Training Course. The vessels will remain in the island nation till the 28th of this month. Naval vessels INS Magar and Shardul arrived in Colombo, while INS Sujata, Tarangini, Sudarshini, along with Indian Coast Guard vessel Vikram, entered the Trincomalee harbour. The ships will undertake bilateral training familiarization and sail training capsules for the Sri Lankan Navy during the visit. The vessels will also participate in a joint exercise PASEX with ships of the Sri Lankan Navy prior to their departure for home. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on India's participation in the upcoming COP26. In conversation are Dr. Shrikant K. Panigrahi, Director General at the Indian Institute of Sustainable Development and Carbon Minus India Initiative, and Sanjay Jha, journalist.
The UN Climate Change Conference, which opens in Glasgow next Sunday, is one of the biggest ever world meetings on how to tackle global warming. COP26 is a crunch time to save the world from disaster, and if we fail to act now, it is scientifically irrefutable that there will be catastrophic and irreversible consequences for humanity and our planet. And at this summit, two countries which would hog the limelight is China and India. While Chinese President Jinping is unlikely to attend the COP26 climate summit, Indian Prime Minister has confirmed that he is going to be there. India, the second most populous country in the world, which has been ranked 7th in a major climate risk index of 2019. It bears a lot of expectations of the world community. Dr. Panigrahi, what do you think? What will be the outcome of this summit? Is it just going to be talk, or there will be something coming out of this major conference?
Thank you, Sanjay ji, for your excellent question. And you are very correct. It is a very transitional time and one of the most critical juncture in the history of the planet of when COP26 has arrived. Actually, last year we were supposed to organize COP26, but due to COVID it could not. So this year in the same venue, UK is organizing COP26 as the co-presidency. Alok Sharma, who is president designate, he is the chief organizer for the entire this global event. Each year, planet, all the member countries of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change gets united in one place, any place in the globe, as it is decided, and they discuss, negotiate and decide future course of action, how to prevent climate change and save the humanity. In India, we organized Conference of Parties 8 in New Delhi, where 6,000 above candidates participated from the entire globe for the 2 weeks and little more than that. If you see the history, we have Kyoto Protocol, now we have Paris Agreement, and India has always played a decisive role, leadership role in the planet, particularly in preventing climate change and taking aggressive climate action. If you see India's INDC, Intended National Determined Contribution, it is very promising and robust document which became the NDC after the approval of the 193 countries in the Paris in 2015 December, that this is the NDC for India. Now all the countries are, because AR6 report of the IPCC arrived just a few next previous month, and it is giving very alarming signal for the planet, as you told, that we need to be more aggressive. We need to promise, pledge, and also achieve what we are pledging to protect the humanity collectively. So, Indian, you are very correct. A lot of head of the nations has promised their presence in COP26 at Scotland, Glasgow, where Prime Minister Modi will be there during the beginning period of the summit, and along with Prime Minister of UK, Sri Boris Johnson, he will be promising and releasing, that is India's leadership drive, one sun, one world, one grid. So we all are blessed with sun. Let us optimize and maximize solar energy in the benefit of the humanity and avoid fossil fuel. India's leadership initiated International Solar Alliance, which was launched.
Dr. Panigrihi, let's talk about the main agenda of this summit. We have seen just ahead of the UN Climate Change Conference, there's a first ever US report on climate change, which says that India and neighboring countries are highly vulnerable nations. Unprecedented, this US National Intelligence estimate on climate change suggests that India and China will play an important roles in determining the course of global temperature rise, and also discuss the Western countries' role in the crisis. See, these two countries, which are the most populous on the earth, we see India doing its best. Despite a growing developing country, Indian government has committed, and then they are doing to the best ability in terms of carbon emission, mitigation. But Chinese, Prime Minister Modi's leadership, you talked about the One World, One Solar, One Grid project. He has already shown the world how India can take lead. While Chinese, the president has even refused to attend this, and Chinese are not really cooperating on this climate change mitigation efforts. What do you think about this American report, which has clearly pointed out that India and China is the one which has to play an important role in mitigation of climate crisis?
Yes, you are very correct. The thing is, if you see the global emission portfolio, China is among the lead, being the number one greenhouse gas emitting nation, followed by USA is the second highest greenhouse gas emitter. And again, keeping India in third position as the third largest emitter. And European Union emission is little bit above India. And so if you consider European Union as a country, India's position comes to the fourth. But many people argue European Union is not a country, it's a conglomerate of the countries. So that way, India is in third position. So the first three countries, that China, USA and India, as per the Paris Agreement, Paris Agreement says we need to collectively face the challenge, and all of us need to do our best that we can. And but there is a point here. The countries like China and India, which are populated countries, and many other developing countries, are constantly raising their voice regarding their right over global carbon space, and also about equity and climate justice. The developed world, seen the earlier industrial revolution, they keep on emitting greenhouse gases for a considerable amount and considerable time. And by doing that, they have taken most of the planet's carbon spaces already they have consumed. And so if carbon space will be considered as the per capita right basis, like anybody who takes a bath in this planet, have the equal right over the planetary resources, planetary air, planetary water, and all the ecosystem and biodiversity, natural resources equally. So it is not that a developed country will have more right than a developing country, and so there is nothing like that. So all should have equal right. So the countries are like-minded developing nations. There is a group, being leadership is taken by India and China, is claiming their right over the carbon space. And historically, if you see the database, US has emitted the highest quantity of greenhouse gases from time immemorial, but somehow USA has failed to take the leadership role. There are different opinion of different political parties. There are oil lobbies which is influencing US election. There are so many internal issues USA has got. Even the previous president walked out from the climate change agreement which the President Obama has committed in Paris Agreement. And now the new Prime Minister Biden has joined back. But USA is yet to finalize their NDC. And recently UNFCCC has accepted USA again as one of the parties who is committed to meet their target, but they don't have a national determined contribution made yet. If you see the historic data of the India, whatever India has committed, India has already done so far. And India is ahead than many countries, and the global estimation report has appreciated India's leadership drive and achievement, particularly the target of 175 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2022 and 100 gigawatt out of which is solar energy. And India is quite ahead than its target. And India by 2020, India was in most promising positioning. If you see the India's NDC document, India has also committed 40% of its total energy basket to come from renewable and non-fossil fuel route, which neither committed by China nor USA. And but now the global nations have started declaring their emission profile and their commitment so that by 2050 they will be carbon neutral or net neutral.
The solar energy target of India, the cusp of transformation, and there's immediate corrective steps needed to mitigate the climate change everywhere in the world. And in that regard, India is taking a lead role with solar renewable energy. We have a very government is totally supportive of the solar and renewable energy.
India has committed 450 gigawatt by 2030. That's a huge renewable commitment. And also, India has told how to achieve it. India is also committed for green hydrogen in particular, and which is again a non-fossil fuel and a totally green form of energy basket. And in India's priority, India will not only generate enough green hydrogen for its own consumption, but also India is planning to export it to the other countries and help them. And India is already in International Solar Alliance. We are trying to help all the 121 tropical countries who are under sun.
Dr. Panigrahi, let's hope that in this summit, we should be able to strike a climate deal, and the poor nations who have been demanding trillions of dollars from the rich countries, industrialized countries, and they have also been struggling to pay earlier commitments to help with clean energy development and other infrastructure needs. Now the cost of buying cooperation has skyrocketed. Let's hope that the rich nation, the industrialized nations open up their purse and hear the grievances of the poor and developing country, and then there is a fine balance arrived between all the stakeholders.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Ms. Sheikh Hasina, has congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi on India achieving the historic milestone of administering 1 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccine. In a message to Prime Minister Modi on Sunday, Sheikh Hasina called it a remarkable success achieved in dealing with the challenges inflicted by COVID-19 pandemic on the world. She said it would be a major step towards the path of recovery and normalcy for India in the region. Ms. Sheikh Hasina said that Bangladesh has been carrying out the mass vaccination program under which more than 60 million people have already been vaccinated till now. She reiterated India has been an important source of COVID-19 vaccine for Bangladesh right from the beginning of its vaccination program. She thanked India for resuming the export of the AstraZeneca vaccines to Bangladesh. She expressed her firm belief that India and Bangladesh will continue to work together more closely to save the people of the region from the COVID-19 pandemic and counter the multiple adverse effects of the pandemic. Moving on to sports, the T20 World Cup, India has set a target of 152 runs for Pakistan at Dubai International Cricket Stadium, Dubai, in their first group match. Chasing the target, Pakistan were 135 for no loss in 17 overs. Earlier put into bat, India posted 151 for 7 in the stipulated 20 overs. Skipper Virat Kohli made 57 in 49 balls, while Rishabh Pant scored 39 in 30 balls. For Pakistan, Shaheen Shah Afridi took 3 wickets, Hassan Ali 2, while Shadab Khan and Haris Rauf 1 wicket each. Earlier, Pakistan won the toss and elected to field. In another match, Sri Lanka won the match by 5 wickets against Bangladesh. Bangladesh have set the target of 172 runs. Sri Lanka achieved the target in 18.5 wickets. All India Radio is broadcasting ball-by-ball commentary of the World Cup matches.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world. As reported in the foreign press, The Guardian says poor countries are to be offered extra funding to break COP26 impasse. The Washington Post writes Colombia captures most wanted drug lord Otto Neal in bust compared to Pablo Escobar's fall. Financial Times reports Facebook confronts growth problems as number of young users in US declines. Wall Street Journal says endemic COVID-19 has arrived in Portugal. And Sputnik News writes Moscow says it can't prevent Ukraine from joining NATO, but can minimize its consequences.
And more news from sports. In football, Real Madrid beat Barcelona in the first El Clasico match of the season. Goals from new signing David Alaba and Lucas Vázquez saw Real Madrid winning their 4th straight El Clasico. The match ended 2-1 in favor of Real Madrid, with Sergio Aguero scoring for Barcelona. In the English Premier League, Liverpool thrashed Manchester United 5-0. A Mohamed Salah hat-trick inspired Liverpool to a memorable win at Old Trafford Stadium. A summit to discuss climate change and facilitate negotiations on climate action calls for a cuisine which is sustainable and eco-friendly. The UK confirmed on Sunday that COP26 delegates will be served sustainable, locally sourced food at the upcoming climate summit in Glasgow. In a statement, the UK government said that overall 95% of the food will be from the UK, largely sourced from Scotland, and be seasonal. This will put sustainability at the heart of catering for the summit, reducing emissions and promoting environment-friendly food production. It added that COP26 will set an example for other large-scale international events in terms of food sourcing by taking a number of measures to ensure a sustainable approach.
Heavy rains lashed several parts of the national capital Delhi and adjoining regions on Sunday evening, the IMD said. The minimum temperature was recorded at 19 degrees Celsius, that is 2 notches above the season's average. The Central Pollution Control Board said that the Air Quality Index was recorded in the moderate category at a level of 158. The IMD in its forecast said the sky in Delhi will be partly cloudy on Monday.
A quick look at the headlines once again. UN envoy meets Taliban officials in Kabul. Calls for inclusive government in Afghanistan. India essential in ensuring a free, open, inclusive and prosperous Indo-Pacific, says UK on Foreign Secretary Liz Truss visit. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reaffirms India's commitment to the United Nations on the occasion of UN Day. Nepal government panel says China has put up wires and fencing in Nepalese territory. First training squadron of the Indian Navy on a 4-day visit to Sri Lanka as part of their overseas deployment. And at the T20 World Cup, India set a victory target of 152 runs for Pakistan in the group stage game at Dubai. India is celebrating the 152nd birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let us listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Zambia on their National Day. And with that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.